So what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be taking a look at Transformers Legacy Core Class Iguanas. And Iguanas here is weird. He's my second Legacy figure, ironically. And I just kind of bought him on a whim today because I was like, I know I'm going to be bored. So I was like, I'm just going to buy an Iguanas. And I just fiddled with him all day at lunch today at work. So that was awesome. And, I mean, this figure's actually pretty good. He's decently surprised me. I was like, oh, I'm just kind of expecting an average guy, you know? Just your typical little man. But no, he's actually surprising. And I do own one other core class figure, which is from Kingdom. That is Dracodon here, who's a repaint of the other fossilizer guy. And Dracodon's lime green, so that's awesome. And I got him for $6 because he was on sale one day. And I bought him the same day as Slammer because he was on sale. As far as Iguanas goes, he comes with this weird little piece, you're probably saying. That doesn't look like much of a gun, and it really isn't. Though I will use it as a gun. It's actually a part of a sword. And if you buy Skywarp and Hot Rod, you will get the other two parts to form a sword. And that sword's pretty cool. It looks pretty alright, but I wouldn't spend money. These guys are expensive. And I mean it. Canadian, I spent 19-something on this guy. That is nuts. $19 for this. Like, well, you know, probably not that small, is it? Here's Skywarp. There's Skywarp. Here's an old Legends guy, who is actually smaller. Iguanas is actually quite big. I think he genuinely is a beefier guy, so it's pretty awesome. So here he is next to Netflix Bumblebee. He's around the same height, actually. Bit shorter, but he's quite close. But I mean, as far as this guy goes, he just does look nice. And I mean, he primarily has this gold paint and red paint on the chest that looks really nice. Same thing goes on the gun. It's the gold and the red. Bit of gold on the knees. The red paint is on the wheels as well. Turn around, he has a pretty clean back other than the wheels, but I kind of like the wheels. It makes him kind of look pretty cool. And I like how the back's just kind of flat. He does have a tail, which is awesome. And I even came up with a little origin. I don't think this is his actual origin, but I came up with it. And that he is not Cybertronian, but he is another species from another planet that has been... He's a bounty hunter that kitted himself out in Cybertronian stuff that allows him to transform into a motorcycle form. So he's a cyborg. He's cybernetically enhanced. So, like, I like to think, like, his legs and his waist are completely cybernetically enhanced, and then he just has armor on, and then he has this bit built into his back, because this does most of the transformation. That's what I like to think. I mean, that's kind of cool to think about, honestly, and I do kind of like that origin I gave him. Take a look at his head here, which looks pretty cool and really nice and detailed. Kind of wish there might have been some, like, silver or gold on the spikes and on the fin. That would have been awesome, but other than that, looks really nice, really well sculpted. As far as articulation goes for Iguanas here, he has a ball joint in the head, which is pretty restricted looking up and down, but it looks to the side very well. Forward, not so much back. You can't even move these out of the way, really. You can move it down a bit, but it kind of breaks it. He does have a ball joint at the elbow, so he does have a swivel and a bend. He has a waist, forward and back. Back's restricted for, like, no reason. Never mind. Knee joint and a swivel at the knee, but it's a ball joint. And his feet are on a ball joint as well. So you get this nice tilt, but you can also get the rotation. So that's really cool. And also forward and back. So he's an articulate little guy. Like, he's surprisingly articulate for a little guy. And I'm just surprised how good he is, honestly. Because I just bought him. I was like, I don't expect this $20 to go anywhere. I'm just spending $20 on a thing I kind of wanted. And I don't regret it, honestly. Jen, I can say that right now. I do not regret buying him. I think he's great. And I mean, that's pretty much Iguanas' robot mode, so let's get into his transformation, which is really simple. So first thing I'm going to do for the transformation, come to his back and fold down this panel. You're then going to pull up on it, and it's going to fold up behind the head. And you're going to make sure you hear this click. That click. You got to make sure of it. You can then take that bit, and it folds over the head and pegs into the chest. So there's two pegs right there, and then there's some holes right there on both sides, and that clips down. You can then take the front wheel and move that into place, and then take the arms here and you're going to rotate them. On this side specifically, there is a normal peg. Now, notice that the weapon has this little tiny itty-bitty peg. That's the one he can hold, but on the bottom, he can also hold the normal peg size. So, that's that. And the arm does peg in. There's a bit of a peg there, and then just kind of pegs into a groove. You'll know when it makes the click noise. A nice little click noise. And it's going to go in like that. I have the arm rotated the wrong way. Like an idiot. So basically, now we are just left with this section. So you're going to come to the waist and rotate it around, like so. So the tail is facing that way. And I'm going to take the back wheel, fold it out, come to the leg, rotate it around at the knee. You're then going to come to the feet and then rotate them around like that. You're going to bend it at the knee, and there is a hole on the bottom of the foot, and then there's the peg on the back wheel, and they will simply peg together. But they can also peg into the tail. A pretty simple method, and there is Iguanas in his bike mode, which doesn't stand at all. There's no kickstand. Yeah, it just doesn't stand. It does not stand. And this has nowhere to go other than on the top here. So there's that. I mean, as far as the bike mode goes, I like to think of it as the way I put it, that he just kind of turns into it for mobility. No one actually rides it. It's just a mobility form for him specifically, since he's not a true Cybertronian. That's what I like to think about it. I think my origin I gave him is pretty cool myself. I mean, as far as the bike goes, you get the wheels, and I like how the arms are just kind of grabbing that, and I kind of like how the feet end up back here. It makes it just kind of look like he's grabbing onto these wheel assemblies. And that's why I kind of think of the whole, like, he's not an actual Cybertronian, he just has bits in him that make him be able to transform, that he's augmented, and the Decepticons use him as, like, a hunter. That's what I kind of like about him. Like, that's my little theory, and that's why he's smaller than the others, because of that reason, because he's not an actual Cybertronian, he's a different species entirely. And I mean, the bike isn't really a bike, it's kind of a thing. Like, it has two wheels, so it is a bike, but it doesn't look like a bike other than that. It's just kind of a mobility mode, like I said. And it does roll nicely. But I would be worried about scuffing the paint off the tires, because they are indeed painted. It does have little shocks sculpted in the wheels, which is kind of cool. He looks just pretty nice, though. He just looks great in this mode, and really, there's nothing really else for me to say, so let's just get to the thoughts mode. This figure pleasantly surprised me. Now, for the price point, do I recommend picking him up? If you have the extra money, maybe, and if you want him. If you don't want him, don't do it. If you do want him, get him. All I'm going to say. He's definitely worth it. He is a great figure, and I do really like Iguanas. I do. I was pleasantly surprised, because I thought I was just going to be like, oh, you know, he's alright. But no, I actually think he's really great. And that little origin story I gave him made him way better to me for some apparent reason, because apparently making a fake origin for a character that nobody cares about is awesome. I just kind of wish they had done Skullgrin or Iguanas and blown him up to Deluxe, but Skullgrin's getting a Deluxe for some reason. But Iguanas here got a core, and so did the other one. I forget the other one's name, the one that turns into the blue jet. It's really weird. Like, why did they do that? It's the bat one. And honestly, I might buy him too, just so I can have a bunch of, like, little Deceptigoons that are just a bunch of random creatures. I think that'd be awesome. And Skullgrin's not a random creature. He's an actual Cybertronian who just has a skull on his head. That'd be awesome. That's just my cool concept for these guys, though. As far as he goes, though, I'm genuinely baffled. And it's not just, like, recency bias here, either. He's just good. He's just genuinely a good figure. His alt mode's a bit lacking. But like I said, I justified it in my head. I'm giving him a 4 out of 5, personally. I think 4 out of 5 is a good rating. So this has been Eilt Elite, signing out.